All right, this is not going to be one of the political videos. I need a palate cleanser. I don't really like talking about that shit at all because everyone just gets stupid over it. But I feel like it needs to be said because there's just so much information and lies, and it's it's kind of ironic. A lot of the people who it's always the people who claim that I am believing propaganda who are they themselves either the propagandists or the ones who are falling for it. Because I'll get comments that are like, stop watching the media lies and stuff. And it's like, all I did was watch the interview and give my own personal thoughts. I don't know what media lies you're talking about. And then you see them reposting like Ben Shapiro, or I don't know who would be on the other side, frickin' Hassan. It's just like, all right, um, you are the guys believing the media grifters, not me. Anyways, uh, I don't want to talk about any of that stuff. What I'm going to talk about today is food. I love food. Normally we do coffee because that's honestly cheap and easy and fast. And right now, I am in a situation in my life where it's all about optimizing for efficiency. This video is going to be a longer one. It's not going to fit on the shorts algorithm, which I don't like having to condense my thoughts down to 3 minutes because that just doesn't work for me. I have some frozen burgers. Normally, I don't get burgers because I don't have a grill up here. But there was like a gift exchange during Christmas. One of my uncles bought a whole bunch of stuff and just gave it out to everyone. I actually got a smartwatch, pretty little cool smartwatch, and he didn't really buy all of it. A lot of it was casino gifts and stuff, have to be completely honest, but he did buy other things, and the fact that it was all his and he just gave it away to everyone is what I really want to shout out. That was very generous of him. And it turns out one of my cousins didn't want one of the items she got. I think we all got two things. I got the smartwatch and a little vacuum cleaner, like a little handheld vacuum cleaner that is for the car, and that's out in the car right now. So, one of the things she got that she said she didn't want and isn't going to use is this here smokeless grill. Can you see that? I'd still miss the old phone where I could just turn the camera around. Now, I haven't bought burgers or chicken or anything like that in a long time because the grill's really the only way to do that. So I am going to unbox this shit here and see if I can make these burgers. I got some frozen beef patties. Something dropped. Oh, that's the power device. I'm trying to figure out where to do this. It says it's smokeless, but I don't believe that. It probably means smokeless as in it uses electricity, so it doesn't generate its own smoke. But if you're cooking beef, there's going to be smoke. Or anything, really. All right. Here's the little power adapter that fell out of the box. So far, it's pretty nice. I was worried. I've had this since Christmas, but I haven't fucked with it yet because I was worried that it was going to be a pain in the ass to clean, but it looks like it'll be all right because we have the cooking surface here. Oh, it lifts off with the handles. The whole handles and everything just come off. There's the heating element. And then there's a nice little drip pan here underneath, which will make things much, much easier to clean. I'm probably just gonna cook this on the stove, underneath the fume hood, just so if there is any smoke, we can stuck it in there and filter it with that instead of setting off the smoke detectors, which I do have now and work. Had those for a little while now, but there were several videos where I was mentioning the lack of smoke detectors up here for a couple months was rather frustrating. So if you haven't seen any of the interim videos, we do have smoke detectors, and I installed them the night I got them. All right, let's go ahead and get this bad boy plugged in. Now the thing with a grill that most people don't do right, or even with pots and pans usually, is you gotta heat that shit up first. Everyone's just trying to cut corners and throw things on there as quickly as possible. Dude, why does it come? It comes turned on, unless it did that when it fell, but we're not gonna worry too much about it. We're gonna set it to the max setting just so we can heat it up as quickly as possible. And then we'll set it to the cooking temperature. But for these burgers, it's probably going to be max setting because they're frozen. Let's see what they suggest. Yeah, place a frozen patty. So they do want you to freeze them frozen. Usually these really cheap, thin patties, you toss them on the grill frozen. I've noticed there are some frozen burgers, if they're like the thicker ones, you gotta defrost them, otherwise they won't cook right. But these ones are designed to be cooked from frozen, so that's how we're gonna cook them. It's heating up. It's a little bit slow. The thing that I think is gonna annoy me is that it's going to be uneven heat because of the way the cooking element, the heating element is underneath the different parts of the cooking surface. But I don't think it's going to be too bad. All grills have their hot spots and cool spots, especially if you're working with a charcoal grill or an older not industrial. I mean, I guess you could say commercial grill. That's the word I was looking for. An older commercial grill. Like if you've ever worked in a restaurant for a while, you will learn the hot spots and cool spots pretty quickly. And that's actually great when you're cooking to order because everyone wants different temps. And when you got 3 different temps at the same table, you can move the burgers around where you need them to be. Or if you get like an order that why am I saying so much? If you get an order that a waitress put in wrong, or maybe you messed up, maybe you read it wrong, or perhaps the person changed their order after you started cooking the meal for everyone, all those things happen, then you can take that item and put it on the hottest spot of the grill to catch it up with everything else, and you can move things over to the other areas so that they don't overcook. Because the worst thing you can do to something is overcook it. I should put these in the freezer until they're ready to go on. They're almost ready to go on. I can hear it starting to click. I can feel the heat distribution getting a little more even. All right, let me get a spatula. I don't know why I have the spatulas. I am in a constant state of unpacking, primarily because I'm doing renovations on the house. So I don't unpack things until I need them. One, because it's a waste of the time investment while I still have renovations to do. Two, because while I still have renovations to do, sometimes if I put something somewhere, after I put it there, I'm going to need to move it again. Let's turn the light on. And so I can renovate it, and then I'm going to need to move it back. So it's a triple waste of time. Let me go see if I can find a spatula real quick. I'll be right back. I think I know where one is. Okay, there wasn't one where I expected. I gotta check another thing. There's some stuff on the back porch. Let me check that. I'll be right back. Okay, still nothing. I do have a plastic spatula, but I'm not trying to use that on the grill and get that melted. The last thing I want to do the first time I use this grill is put some damn melted plastic all over it. Let me do a real quick search of all the drawers, and then we've got options. I can just use my hands. Okay, it was just buried. I found the metal spatula. I have a grill set too, but that didn't make it up here. There were lots of things that I was trying to bring up here that didn't get brought up here because people just don't listen. And the worst part is they told me it was packed. And I was like, cool, we'll just throw all this stuff in the van and we'll be fine. And nope, that was not the case. So normally I don't really put too much. Yeah, I can smell it. It's ready to go now. It's nice and hot. We should turn the fan on so that we'll start with low. And if that's struggling to contend with any smoke coming off, then we'll move it. Normally, I don't really use cooking spray. I prefer butter, but I'm not sure how to lubricate this surface without ruining a stick of butter. So we're just going to do a quick little spritz. I guess I can show you guys that if I can get the right angle. I don't know if you can see it. Dude, I really miss the old phone so much. Okay. It's like glittery now, where before it was just kind of dull. See, there's the smoke. It's a smokeless grill, except for when you use it. It's a smokeless grill as long as you don't turn it on. Well, I guess I turned it on and it was smokeless. But it's smokeless until you put food on it. All right, now let's throw the burgers on. I generally eat 2 burgers, but because these patties are really thin, we're gonna eat 2 double burgers. Like if I had gotten Bubba burgers or something like that, we would just make 2 burgers. But these are super thin, like McDonald's patties. Hold on. Before we do that, do I have gloves? Oh well. I have gloves somewhere. Where are they? Found them. Now, all I really do use the gloves for is touching the raw meat itself. The rest of that, you don't really need gloves for, especially if you're washing your hands. But that's a whole other conversation for another time. The number one time you need gloves with cooking food, regardless of if you're cooking for yourself or anyone else, by the way, because you can definitely make yourself sick by not cleaning your hands properly, is when you are handling raw meats or if you have some kind of open sore or abrasion on your hand. These are really stuck together. There we go. The one thing I don't like about frozen burgers is often the paper sticks. Do I have space for 4 on here? I think I have just enough space for 4. It's going to be close. Now you can use a knife to split these, but that's one of the number one ways I've seen people get hurt with knives. If you are going to use a knife, make sure it's a butter knife. You don't want pieces of your finger ending up on the grill. All right. So those are cooking. They're smelling pretty good, actually. And now, because I went and used gloves, I don't need to wash my hands again after touching the meat because they're still clean. Assuming all this other stuff I'm touching right now is clean, which it is. We got our buns set aside. We'll roast them at the end. I love toasty buns. So, I'm going to be 100% honest and admit that it's been years since I cooked frozen patties. Normally, for the past several years, you shouldn't touch your face. Don't touch your face. Otherwise, you need to wash your hands again. Yes, I know I just did it. That's why I thought about it. So, it's been years since I cooked frozen patties. And I'm trying to remember the optimal time to flip them. You want to flip as few times as possible, really. Because if you do flip too often, you're going to lose juices. I'm going to do a quick quarter turn Ooh. So I have one gripe about the grill right now. There needs to be a backstop or something like that. I wish you guys could see, but I can't really aim the camera and pay attention to this at the same time since I can't flip it around. But I need to get one of those things to rest. I have one of those little ceramic things to rest stuff on, but I have no idea where it is. If you quarter turn the burger, it prevents it from burning and keeps it cooking on that side. Now, we're not aiming for any specific temperature here except thoroughly cooked. My preference for all burgers is medium well. That's why I like to eat my burgers. But we don't know. It's really hard to achieve that with frozen burgers. So we just want fully cooked. Now, we're starting to see some juice pop up there on the top. So and the edges of the burgers are starting to unfreeze. So I'm pretty sure that's our indicator to go. It's really hard to pick these up. Okay, I found out you can kind of mash it against the handle, but that seems, it makes a little bit of a mess, to say the least. There needs to be a backstop for this. My flips are non-optimal because I spend too much time trying to grab these damn burgers while they just slide around the grill. All right. They're looking pretty good so far. You can see in that one in the back, that's what happens when it slides around like that because it was sitting on different spots. But this guy appears to be cooking a little slower than the other ones. Now, once it cools down a little bit, the best way, in my opinion, to check if a burger specifically, steaks, other things like that too, are just to poke it. If you are even a remotely good chef, you should be able to tempt 90% of your meats just by poking them. Now, there are occasional odd size or shape cuts that you are going to want a thermometer to verify, but if you're even remotely competent, that shouldn't be necessary for most meats. And it's kind of bad in some ways because poking a hole in it lets the juices flow out, especially if you have to put it back in the oven. Then you're going to have that hole and you're going to dry your meat out a little bit. All right, so we're going to do our corner turns. They're starting to get floppy, which means that they're probably thoroughly defrosted the whole way through. We're going to change position a little bit. Put this one that had the lighter grill marks over on the one that's curling first. So that's the downside of these frozen burgers, is they like to curl because whichever side, they're going to cook a little unevenly because half of it's frozen, right? So whichever side defrosts second, it's going to curl in that direction. As you can see, they're kind of popping up. And that's kind of how you tell when they're done too. This one seems pretty good, to be honest. The one we moved needs a tiny bit longer. Maybe that one in the back corner too, but I think these two are probably good. So this is what we're going to do. we're gonna take the two done ones and put them on top of the less done ones. And that's how we're going to melt our cheese on them. That way, the ones that need a little more work will finish cooking. I'll have to grab that out of the sink in a sec. We'll finish cooking once we while we melt the cheese. I'm going Swiss. Swiss is my favorite cheese for a simple burger. I love like a good lamb burger or something with that. And with lamb burgers, you can do all kinds of crazy cheeses. But with these simple frozen burgers, just Swiss is all you need. All right. And I personally like to do, I would love to do like 8 slices of cheese per burger, but my stomach can't handle that at this age. I have a kind of lactose sensitivity, but I just split them like that so that they get a nice even melt, especially with Swiss. It's gonna fill in the holes. We're gonna take our buns, put them upside down on the grill to get them nice and toasty. And while we're waiting for that, I'm gonna get the plate. It's definitely pretty smoky. We're gonna turn this on high. Have it suck all that smoke in. I don't want to set the smoke alarm off. Fortunately, they are not hardwired into the fire department. So if anything happens, I can just turn them off and I'll be fine. Buns need a little bit longer. We had this at max temp the whole time. It says 425. I don't know if we're there or if we're staying there because a lot of people don't realize that, especially with something small like this, when you put food on your cooking surface, it actually cools your cooking surface down because that is just how thermodynamics work. So, since we threw a whole bunch of really cold meat on there at once, it probably brought the temp down significantly. And then when we threw like room temperature buns on there, it didn't really affect the temperature much, but that's also more work it needs to do, right? So this is probably not the whole 425, but who knows? It might be. All right. The buns look pretty good. Let's get those off there. So it is, even with the fume hood, going to set off the smoke detectors. I don't think there's any point in resetting it now because if I do, it's just going to go off again. I'm going to open the window, take these off. The lack of a backstop is really frustrating. All right. Shut the grill off. That's what our mess looks like afterwards. This is what our, well, let me put the ketchup on first real quick. I'm a simple man, especially because I've spent a lot of years struggling Things like lettuce and pickles and tomatoes, all those go bad quickly and are unnecessary expenditures where I can get like this whole thing of ketchup for the price of like so much lettuce. There's our Swiss double burgers, toasted buns, and our ketchup. I'm going to not need to worry about turning the smoke detector off because it turned itself off automatically. And I'm going to go eat my burgers. Peace.